gals. Thank you so much for joining us on the Director's Cut. And I'm super excited because we're going to start out with, I think, a pretty important topic, considering we're gals. Gorgeous, awe-inspiring ladies socializing. And so we're going to talk about womanhood today and the good, the bad, the beautiful, and just what it means to us. So I am excited. We would love for you to join us in the conversation. Make sure that you comment and we will be paying attention to that. So we're going to jump right in. All right. So ladies, our first question. What is womanhood to you? Or how do you define womanhood?
That's a big question.
It is.
Well, I'll start.
Awesome.
So my childhood was in the 70s and, free to be you and me and women live. And so for me, womanhood is all about the choices that we have. And I was really raised with you can be anything and you can do anything. And there's just so many different choices that we can make as women. It's kind of very open for us.
And I think for me, it's a little bit of getting to play multiple roles almost. And I'm kind of thankful I am a woman now versus, 100 years ago where you wouldn't have had the option to play as many roles. But I think sometimes we say women kind of get pigeonholed, and I feel like for me it's been being able to do any of the things I want to do. So very similar. It's like, this is it. I can do it. And I can do stuff that men can't do.
True.
It's okay. They can do stuff I can't do.
Right. We're like, no, we don't want that. So I think for me, one of the things, it was really interesting being raised by a mom who was really squashed as a woman in what she wanted to do in her dreams, and that empowerment. And I think womanhood to me is just the ability to embrace the ability to have emotion, that we have emotions. We as women, we are a lot more, I think, in tune with that, but also that it's okay to have your voice heard, to be strong, to really move into that element of, like you said, kind of like living in all of the things. And it's interesting because you look back in history at women, and I think that's always been the narrative, right? The strong women that have stood out, that they always say, if a woman's not misbehaving, that she's not making her mark. And the women that were misbehaving typically were the women that were bucking against the system, and that our voice deserves to be heard, even if we're in a world that tells us it isn't. So it's a very interesting balance.
Or even right now where we're all being told, again, things we thought as women we had options for, we're now being told, hey, now that narrative's changing as well. So
yeah,
it's kind of an interesting time to be. I don't know if there's ever not an interesting time, but
right.
This one's gotten a little interesting.
Yeah, I think for me, womanhood didn't really have a definition until just recently. And I don't know if it's because of my rebellious side of like how I've been and over my years, which we'll talk about in the teenage years.
Typically, we're the women that were bucking against the system, and that our voice deserves to be heard, even if we're in a world that tells us it isn't. So it's a very interesting balance.
Or even right now where we're all being told, again, things we thought as women we had options for, we're now being told, hey, now that narrative's changing as well. So
yeah,
it's kind of an interesting time to be. I don't know if there's ever not an interesting time, but
right.
This one's gotten a little interesting.
Yeah, I think for me, womanhood didn't really have a definition until just recently. And I don't know if it's because of my rebellious side of like how I've been and over my years, which we'll talk about in the teenage years. But for me, it definitely has been more of just like deciding that I feel like every woman has a voice. I have a voice. I have things that I want to say. I have a message that I want to share. And I've now heard so many other women's stories. And so just feeling like we kind of get the short end of the stick a little bit because we're judged whether we're a mom or we're not a mom, whether we're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, whether we're organic, not organic. I mean, it feels like everything we do or don't do gets judged. And my thought as I started to really look at who I was as a woman was, I just want us women to unite and to, actually support each other and actually start to come together, and how amazing that would be if we could actually do that and stop judging each other for every little thing. I mean, who cares if you do this with your child or don't? You do you. So for me, I think womanhood has only just become an important thing. And now I'm like, okay, I want to actually fight for this womanhood. I want to support other women. I want to love on other women, and I don't want to be alone as a woman.
Yeah, I think I would leverage all of the things said. For me, I think it's about finding balance in who I am, finding balance in this world we live in, whether it's changing opportunities or opportunities as far as what the laws aren't, opportunities as far as what jobs are out there, what can I do? Much like Patty Lynn, I grew up with brothers, and if they could do it, I could do it. And in our house, there wasn't boys' chores and girls' chores. It was just chores. And so it was odd to me when I would be treated differently because I was a girl, or talked to differently about my car getting repaired or something like that because I was a girl. And so I think it's finding not only who I am, but the balance in life of who I am and how that fits with the people I choose to be around.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, and I think it's interesting you bring that, like just when you said, having like go get your car changed, the oil changed, or, that you have to be cautious. We have to be cautious as women. And it's even today, we have to be vigilant and aware and I think for me also womanhood is training those coming up to be aware, to be prepared, to be empowered to step into their voice, and that takes time and they need to find out what that is, but that they have that ability. They may be told or have been told their whole life, depending on their upbringing or their experiences, because in like the industry I'm in, it's a man's world still. As much as there are women photographers, as much as there are many women coming into the film industry, it's still little teeny. And I've had to really fight to have my voice heard and also be bold enough to step away from situations. That's something that actually happened not that long ago, of having to step away from something because, I was the woman on set being motherly or being mindful, and it's like, no, that's okay. You don't respect what I want to bring to the table, then you don't get anything else that I bring to the table. You're not going to have me be quiet in those things. It's which is what I was being told was I needed to tone it down. And I'm like, you either take it all or you get none.
But I do think that comes with age, and you had even mentioned not understanding truly feeling what womanhood was until older. And it's, as I'm hearing all of us talk, it is something we have all gained in our years as being female, not necessarily being, and I don't want to say necessarily being a woman, because I think we're definitely women, but understanding womanhood and what that means to us. It took a long time, and I guarantee if we sat down 10 years from now, it's not going to be the same conversation again.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of my biggest things is it's changing always. And that's lucky. Yeah. I think it's good.
What a beautiful thing that it is, too. Yeah. I'm so thankful I'm not the same woman today that I was in my 20s. Nor would I
Well, I
want
don't
to.
think I'd be sitting here.
Yeah, you grow, you learn. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, I feel like your story segues beautifully. I mean, it wasn't the good, but let's go into the good
Yeah.
and share what we feel. Yeah, like what's the good of your womanhood, or what's been good? I'd love to know.
Finding my voice. And it's funny because I have been able, and one of the things I say is you get to play different roles. I'm the mom. I'm a business owner. I'm, a speaker. There's a long list of roles I get to play, and my voice is different in every one of them. But I've been able to have that voice. I mean, I've had the opportunity, and I've watched my boys are all over 18 now, and I got to have my voice, and I see that in them when they do stuff. And I know in my business, it's truly that voice for me.
Love it.
I'll say that good has been motherhood and just that whole journey of becoming a mom, and then the others around, not only my own children born of me, but then others around that I get to mother, and just that nurturing side and growth and encouragement of others, and just the amazing process of having a baby. I remember, I used to say my body grew this human, and I did it all, and I fed it, and I nurtured it, and I grew an organ to support it. And my mom would say, well, Ken had part of it. I'm like, yeah, teeny weeny part. I did this. Don't take this away from me. I made this human, but it was just poor guy. But it was just an amazing thing.
He didn't do any work. He just had an ingredient.
I know that I felt I had done, but it's amazing.
I don't remember the comedian, but she talks about that. The husband comes home, the house is a mess, and she's very pregnant, laying on the couch, and well, what have you done all day? I grew a spleen. What did you do?
Good point.
Exactly.
Argue with
There
that.
we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's hard to argue with. I think for me, the best part, I think, is just learning, like, stepping into who I am. Like for me, learning that there's a reason I love beautiful things. I love beautiful things. And that I don't have to, like, when I got married, for some reason, I thought I had to be more like my husband. And I don't know why nobody ever told me that. I just did. I just thought that's what you did. And he's very functional, very, things have a purpose. And he's a different person. And so I started to be that way. So I would, everything I'd buy for my house was more functional, not so pretty. And I really started to squish that piece of me. But then when I started to really dive into who I was like, oh, I like pretty things. There is nothing wrong with that. And, I like things that aren't necessarily all about function. And I enjoy being beautiful.
I probably enjoyed it too.
Yeah, he did. When I finally started to step into that. And so just that has actually been really good to me. Like, I get to be beautiful. I get to enjoy it. And I get to have the emotions. And I get to, my heart almost breaks for men in that they're not taught that kind of stuff. And as women, it's almost like we get to embrace it.
I think that's changed a lot too,
which is
though.
good. I'm so thankful.
I think that there is a lot of, again, we get a lot of women with very strong voices that are raising boys and are aware that, hey, it shouldn't be different.
Yeah.
They should have the same emotional opportunities. They should have the same options when it comes to being a dad or not a dad, or stay-at-home dad or not a stay-at-home dad. I mean, they should be very aligned. And so
I do love how things are changing, but I think too it's just a beautiful thing that as a woman I can do that without feeling a whole lot of consequence to it. Like there is just, that's how I am, and I love it, and I don't have to be ashamed of that. It's beautiful. So
yeah.
For me, it's support. I can't remember a time in my life where I didn't have a pretty solid support system to do whatever I wanted, to be whatever I wanted, whether it was playing in the mud with the boys or dressing up like a princess with the girls. And going back to the vehicle situation, I feel like I have been blessed with amazing men in my life that didn't just tell me, oh, you don't need to know, or, let me deal with it. Men who have educated me. So when I take my car to the shop, I already have the answers. And so I can't get BS'd. Or I know who to ask if I think I'm getting BS'd. And so I feel like that has really empowered me to have not just the knowledge, but with that, the balance in life to do all the things I want to do myself and not have to rely on somebody else for the things that I don't know.
I do agree. I think I've been told all my life that I can do what I want to do. And I don't think I heard the same message from my brothers. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I think I will agree with what you're saying with the support and just opportunity to have different experiences that were, I was very much a tomboy, and I was blessed to, my one child was a boy, because I was like, okay, I get to do all the boy stuff. And I was always digging in the mud and catching snakes and all of that. But then I would, go in and take a shower and go get my leotard on and go to dance class. And I was in a pretty tutu and I was, dancing. And I think what's really cool for me that's been amazing in kind of my experience is really tied to my experience in theater. So as much as I've had some bad, which I've already kind of jumped the gun on that
it's okay.
But my experience in theater, while yes, that can be a very negative space for especially women, because you're very aware of what you look like, I think I was really blessed because there's so much opportunity within that space to learn about different personalities and being different, trying different things on and being different characters. And I was blessed to be very supported in that world. I know that there's been people who've been harmed by other not so nice people in that world, but I was very blessed for the most part to have very supportive people and that creativity to explore. So I could be very masculine and tomboyish, but then I could flip on a dime and be, all pretty. So we get the best of both worlds with that. And it's definitely more normalized for us. So.
I agree with that.
I think that's the best way. We get the best of both.
Yeah, in a normalized world for sure. I mean, my son was putting on tutus. He was little too, so that was.
I'm sure I have a picture of a boy of two of mine in a dress.
Right.
I think I made them when I was doing costumes for theater. I would make them be my models.
Oh, there you go.
So,
See,
how many
theater
girls
is
at
that
home?
normalizer. It lets everyone do all the things.
I love it. Well, I think if we have no more thoughts on the good, I think it's time to move into the bad, which is also important, right? I'll actually go ahead and just start on that one. I will say, for me, I didn't necessarily think of womanhood. Like, I wasn't brought up to necessarily feel positive about being a woman. Like you were saying with your mom being squished, it was very similar with mine. And I grew up in the Christian church. I didn't have a good experience as a woman in the Christian church. And a lot of that has to do with my teens, so I won't go super far into it. But it's a lot of stuff that I'm working through now. Like, just realizing, like, wow, I was really oppressed in this way, and this was taught to me in this way, which also turned out to be something negative for me. And I'm not, I don't want to go too much into that and put the church down, but for me, it was a very negative place. It's something that has been, and it was specifically as a woman. I saw a lot of the messages that were being given to me not being given to the boys. The things that we were supposed to uphold ourselves to, the things that how we were supposed to dress so that the boys wouldn't look at us, how we were supposed to act so the boys wouldn't, try to do things with us.
Having to take the
It was,
responsibility.
yeah. So there was so many things. And then on the other end, once I became a pregnant teenager, there was the other side of it. Well, you're pregnant. Your life's going to be over. You're, if you keep this baby, your life is going to be over. Like all the messages that
I
came.
think your life is okay.
Yeah, and it turned out just fine. But that was the ugliness for me. That was like the ugliness, the bad, all of it. That even now I'm like, I don't want to pass those messages along. And unfortunately, I didn't catch it soon enough to not pass some of them to my own daughter. And it's caused rifts in us because she's, so much more in tune with herself than I was at that age. In my early 20s, but we're working on it and it's fine. I just there was a big thing that I really had to work on because of those messages that were sent to me. And I am, and it's fine and it's beautiful now, but it really hindered me quite a bit. I didn't even want to be a mom. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want any of it. I just had no desire for any of it. But I obviously had other plans, or someone else had some other plans for me, so which is fine. I've learned a lot because of it, so I'm thankful for who I am. I will say that today.
I think bad overall, I mean, if we're just talking womanhood overall, is I almost want to say dual expectations, where you're expected, especially as a mom, business owner, to somehow have 24 extra hours every day to do 2 roles. Oh wait, 3 roles, so you need 48 extra hours. And there is kind of this, and I think I'll be honest, I think women, we put it on ourselves more so than anyone else puts it on us. I know I can speak for my support and my family. They don't put it on me. I do. But you work until you just can't. It's like we have this expectation that we can do it all. And so for me, I think that's been the bad, and really struggling with, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say,
to yourself.
Yeah.
Say no to yourself.
Yeah. And to others even, but
Yeah.
it's more so to yourself, because I think that is where I go, well, let someone down, or I didn't do enough, or this kind of stuff, or how do I have to be there and do all this? And I think everyone has expectations, but for some reason there is a different set of them for women. I just think. I think it's becoming. I think it's becoming more even, but there's still a superwoman.
Yeah.
Do it all. We can do it all, but we cannot do it all at the same time.
Exactly.
You just can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that coupled with double standards
Yeah.
makes it really tough. Because when there's double standards, and so then you're trying that much harder to prove yourself and do it all at the same time, even though we can't.
Right.
And then it reinforces the message that we just can't do it. Not that we can't do it all at the same time. I think that's...
And I think that's the key. It's not that we can't do it. It's we can't do it all. And some reason we stop listening it. We can't do it. There's more
Sure.
words.
And then we come back fighting.
Yeah.
No, one's gonna tell me I can't do it.
Yep. Ain't nobody telling me what I can't do.
Yeah. So I think kind of womanhood as a whole, and just having, for the most part, I have amazing women in my life, and but I've been on a really interesting journey since about a little after the beginning of the year. I've just been really praying and focusing on removing negativity, removing toxicity, removing, asking for things to be taken anyways off my plate to leave room for growth. And it's really opened my eyes to some of the real negativity that, as much as we can be supportive of each other, we can be awfully darn mean. And I think we are the meanest of the two genders. Like,
Yes.
we can look all like pretty and like demure, and then like right in the back. And I think that, I mean, that's a common narrative that I think you hear and see, and it's talked about. I think we're trying in a lot of ways, many organizations, many movements, to kind of move past that, but it's still, that's probably one of the ugliest things or bad things about womanhood, is that I think because we do tap into that emotion, we know how to manipulate that emotion. We know how to leverage that emotion.
And I think it goes with the having to do it all as well, because if you've got the one next to you that's doing it all, it just highlights. And they're just as much of a basket case as you are. There's no question in my mind. Anybody that says they can do it all, you need to write a book, teach a class, something, because you can't. But I think that there's some of that. It's I don't want to say competition, because I don't think it's really done in the whole I'm better than you kind of situation, but it's almost self-preservation.
Yeah.
Where you kind of, you can't be doing more than I'm doing. Yes, you can. Especially because it depends on what it is. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. For the bad is that the catty remarks, the non-supportive, the competitive, or comparing yourself to someone else, and then your insecurities kick in. You have to somehow make yourself okay because you're feeling not okay, and you can do that by belittling another woman, and it just, it's very ugly.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to that. My goal with creating G.A.L.S was, when we talk about this a lot, so it's a good place to talk about it, but to create a group of women who, I mean, basically I can trust, like you ladies at this table, I personally trust that if you're going to have a conversation about me behind my back, I know it's going to be good.
Yes.
It's going to be what do I call it? Solution-based. Yes. And it's going to be good. I can trust it. I'm not going to worry about it. Whereas I've definitely had situations where that's not the case. And that can be so toxic. So, yeah, I agree. There's plenty of opportunity to be toxic both ways.
Bless your heart.
Exactly. Bless your little heart.
It's the only reason I'd ever want to move to the South, so that I could say that.
As long as you say it with an accent, right? You're good.
Oh my goodness.
But we all know what it means.
All right. So we are about to finish this one. I would love to know from each of you what has been, so we're going to the beautiful, what has been a defining moment or something beautiful about womanhood for you?
Mine's super easy.
Good.
My kiddos.
Yeah.
And especially now watching them be adults, or try to be adults, beginning to be adults. We'll say that. I got the opportunity to watch my middle kiddo end a job interview. And you don't normally get to see your kids in a job interview, right? And I was so in awe of just how he composed himself and how he behaved, and thank you, sir, and it was great to meet you, and shaking hands and eye contact and all the stuff that you go, God, I don't remember telling him some of this stuff. I know I've told him some of the stuff, but just to see it was kind of like, okay, they're gonna be okay, So that was the easy one for me.
Awesome.
I think for me it is the beautiful responsibility of helping those that are younger. So I was actually in a mastermind this week, and they were, like, what is our big exciting dream that, if nothing was in our way, we could make happen. And one of the things I've always wanted to do is to create a space, it doesn't have to be women, but I think really focusing on women in the industry of either film, photography, and creativity, a safe space that they can learn, they can grow, we can empower, we can work together, we can learn to collaborate, and learning those life skills, because I think while the generation below us and down the line, there's a lot of interesting things that they can teach us because as they're learning the soft skills of critical thinking, the soft skills of just really being able to step into your own skin and really claim what you want to do, claim your dreams, is kind of lost in a lot of ways. And just having that opportunity to mentor some younger filmmakers has been amazing, and being able to be an influence and have an impact on other young women, either my new daughter-in-law, you know, building that relationship, but viewing it as that beautiful responsibility of like, how can I make their lives a little bit better through my experience and help them to not struggle as much and to hopefully continue that cycle. So
I love that.
For me, a really big defining moment was when I realized I wasn't alone. I was in a room with very wealthy women in a mastermind, and I don't know how much these women made, but I knew they were wealthy women, and I thought, why am I in this room? I don't know why I'm here, why I was invited, but we were talking about our struggles, and I listened to each one of those ladies basically say the exact same things that I was thinking. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm all of these things. And it just hit me like, oh, if they're feeling this way and I'm feeling this way, we are the same.
But core.
It was
We're all a hot mess.
Yes,
We're all together.
Yes. And just how beautiful that was, because it made me have so much hope, because I was like, oh my gosh, if they're feeling that way and I'm feeling that way, like, wow, I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. And that really opened my door for me to really it gave me the courage to be who I am. Like, I am who I am for a reason, and to start wanting to hear other women's stories, to want to empower other women and just really be me, which was so awesome. And so for me, that was extremely defining, and it makes me very excited to continue to work with women and older, younger, even the older generation. They need that too, you know. And so to just fit into some of the things, I've even said it several times today as we've been together, of like, you know, I was told all my life that this wasn't a good thing, but I'm learning to just be that, like, that's who I am, and I'm stepping into that. I'm learning to quit apologizing so much. I'm learning to like feel my self-worth and who I am and love it. So still going through my defining moment, really.
I don't remember the time that I realized I am woman. You know, was it when I turned 50?
Hear me roar.
I know. Was it when my mom passed and then I was the oldest generation of woman, you know?
That does a lot.
That's huge. Was it, you know, when I became a mother? I don't know. I think it was maybe a gradual progression, but then just realizing that I'm all grown up, you know, and I don't have to be reactionary. I can choose to act. I can choose to be kind in situations. I can be confident. And even if I don't feel confident, I can choose my actions and really not, it's kind of, maybe it's being in a place of power, but not just letting life happen to you, but making those choices that this is what I want my life to be like, and this is who I want to be, and this is how I want to spend my time. And I can make those choices. And for me and my family, and it was very good.
I love that.
Adulting.
Adulting.
So no more blanket forts is what you're saying.
Oh no, and you can have blanket forts.
Yes. And
Yes.
Adulting and.
And go to the clubhouse. There you go.
I love it.
I think I don't
Let me
know if
just
this
stare
is
you down.
necessarily a defining moment, but what came to mind? So I have to throw in some precursor ugliness, if you will. I think when we talk about the competition and expectations, and I not only grew up not necessarily with gender-based roles and things of that nature and brothers, but I grew up having a lot of male friends. And that has caused me a lot of heartache throughout the years because of the competition and jealousy and cattiness and bringing other women down. And I've always made it a priority, because I value my friendships, to respect their significant others. And I had gone out of my way to do so. And despite that, to the point of allowing myself at times to be used and abused as a friend. And I've lost not only some amazing friends, but relationships with their families. And this is all very ugly, but it's important because I had an amazing moment at a very unexpected time. A good friend of mine was going through a divorce. And I don't know what him and his now ex-wife were fighting about at the time, but he said something about getting a hold of me. And she said, "Go ahead, because I know Katrina respects me enough. She will have my back."
Oh.
And even though they were getting divorced, her knowing that meant so much to me. And for him to tell me that, like, by the way, you know, we're getting divorced, but she still respects you so much and knows, like, your hard work didn't go unnoticed or wasn't fruitless. So that was very powerful for me.
That's awesome.
That is
I
awesome.
love that.
That's definitely what we want people to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, so much glow. I mean, I feel like I just heard like 10 other episodes of our talks that we
More
are
to come.
definitely, yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed these conversations. I sure did. Oh my gosh, we could just go on and on, but we do obviously want to keep these to a decent time. So please make sure that you stay tuned for our next one. We're going to be talking about childhood and teenagerhood in our next couple, so you're not going to want to miss out. All right.
Which should be funny.
Yes. Lots to come. So, all right, ladies, until next time, we'll see you. Bye.